Hi, all. I'm Cullen Haynes, and this is Law Live, or Kia ora, as my next guest, I'm sure, will attest and tell you. 10 years in the profession, was admitted at the ripe old age of 21 years old. Can you please make very welcome the fully automated luxury lawyer herself, Chantal McNaught. Chantal, welcome to Law Live, and it's great to chat with you.
Kia ora. Thank you so much. It's an absolute
I love
pleasure
that.
to be here.
It's a pleasure to have you. And also, I believe Cappuccino, or Chino for short, is with us as well. You got some moral support.
Yes, it's a particularly cool day here in Auckland, and I think she's decided that my lap is the best real estate.
Oh, very good. Absolutely. What's the weather like in Auckland at the moment? Is it quite nice?
It is actually a really stunning day. It's just a bit chilly, but we've got the sun out, blue skies, and you can't beat Auckland on a good day, although not quite as many as what I've been used to in the past in Brisbane.
Oh, yes, indeed. Absolutely. And we obviously met at the QLS symposium last year, and I'm all the better for it. And it's so exciting to bring you here today. What has been happening in your circle of influence? Tell us, what spill the tea, Chantal. What's the goss?
Well, the goss so far is there was a book festival, so I bought a writing book because I'm getting a lot of writing done, and thanks Chino, you've got something to add, do you? And the other sorts of things that are happening as well is a couple of conferences coming up. There's one that's Deus Ex Machina, that's on law, technology and humans at the Queensland University of Technology. I'll be presenting
Amazing.
a paper there about the literature on the tension between law as a profession and law as a business, specifically around technology for that one. So it's all kind of coming together.
Oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. And I would suggest it is now 11:58 Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you've got any questions for Chantal, put them in the comments and we'll answer them live. This is live. It says happening now, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. And thank you for rewatching if you are or listening to the podcast. But I'd love to ask you if you could describe your life in law so far using just film titles. How would you do so, Chantal?
Am I restricted to just film, or can I dabble into some television series as well?
You can do television series as well. I think we can bend the rules just for you.
I guess I'm kind of showing a little bit of my vintage, but I want to say Ally McBeal.
Oh, love that show. That's a 90s. That's an absolute 90s classic.
Absolute banger. The stage show Legally Blonde.
Okay. I object.
And To Kill a Mockingbird, I think.
Oh, a bit of Harper Lee.
I preferred the book over the film, though.
Oh my goodness, absolutely. I agree. Did you read Go Set a Watchman, the second one?
No, I haven't. And it's crazy that there was like something like 58 years between the books. It's like, just write one and then you're done, been there, done that.
Literally, I couldn't believe it. I always find it strange that some writers only just do one book. So I'm glad she came out with the second one, but I highly recommend that one. So great. Legally Blonde, the musical. We got Ally McBeal and To Kill a Mockingbird. So great job. And obviously we talked about better lawyering in the age of AI. That's the title of the show. So I'd love to dive deeper into that. What does that mean? And a little bit behind the inspiration of fully automated luxury lawyering that you're a big part of.
Yeah. So, well, I will be honest to our viewers here. I was put on the spot to have a quick think about like what the tagline will be for this. So really, like better lawyering is something that I'm just genuinely extremely passionate about. I've been involved with the law profession for over 10 years, if you include all my studies as well. And the whole purpose, I guess, of this is to capture your imagination. This is obviously an incredibly interesting time, but it doesn't have to be scary. It can also be whimsical. And that's sort of what I wanted to kind of package all together, because we are in an age of AI right now. And we have been since, at least the 70s. So it's becoming a lot more evenly distributed. It's new and interesting things that we're experimenting as humans, and what that could possibly mean as for lawyers who want to be better at delivering legal services to your clients.
Absolutely. And I'm intrigued. The technology's always been here since the 70s. It's just gone through different iterations. Is that what you're saying? My mind is being blown as we speak, Chantal.
There's a great bastion of knowledge in this area. His name's Professor Richard Susskind, and he's written profoundly on the future of lawyers, the future of the profession, the end of lawyers, like all of these amazing books. And he actually did his PhD on artificial intelligence, and back in the 80s. And it's really interesting watching a lot of the lectures that he's given and reading a lot of the materials. And he's not the only one as well. Like, there are many experts that are finally having their day in the sun, because this has become the culmination of decades of research and work that's been involved in this. And I know it seems a little bit fun to go like, oh, how can I write this email to the client that I have to explain the same thing for the 57th time? But that is because of all of the hard work that's been happening in the background for so long.
Yes. I remember watching at the ABAs last year at the State Library, Richard Susskind, who's a Scottish gentleman, and I did find his lecture at the time quite riveting, and I'm glad we're talking about it today. And look, we've got a visitor, Mina Abel-Sayed, who's a lawyer in his own right and legend, saying, hey, thank you for joining the show, Mina. Any questions, as always, put them in, and thanks for supporting Chantal. But talking about fully automated luxury lawyering, tell us what the inspiration behind your baby was.
So it has been a journey, and it's really connected to my research as well. So I'll lead with that to answer the question. Given my role at Leap Legal Software, I have had this amazing opportunity to meet thousands of lawyers in Australia and now New Zealand. And I get to have these conversations about what stresses people out when they're lawyering, what makes it better, what do they enjoy, all of those sorts of conversations. And it really dawned on me that I want to help as many lawyers as possible enjoy the law. And I see technology playing a huge part of that. And that realization came from, as well, the need to have credibility and understanding of insight around how law and the business of law interact with each other. And that's what spurred me on about doing the legal research, my PhD project. And the whole point of doing that sort of research, where you're contributing to the world's knowledge in a unique way, is to make sure you share it. And the format that's taken is with Fully Automated Luxury Lawyering. It's a LinkedIn group. Thank you, Chino. I'm sorry I'm boring you with this.
How passe, mummy. How passe, my goodness.
She's a bit sassy, isn't she? Keeps me on my toes. So the point of the LinkedIn group, and hopefully a book at the end, will be to condense all of that research from academic legalese into something that can be a helpful resource for lawyers and law students going into the business of law. And I totally took the inspiration from a book by Anthony Bastani called Fully Automated Luxury Communism, which I do recommend as a great read.
I was on that one. You know I love it. Okay.
and it's about technology, and it's about the future of work. So it's not necessarily, a Das Kapital, Communist Manifesto type book. It is very much rooted in that research and around how technology changes the way we look at work. So there's the story behind it.
Makes sense. Well, let me ask you, comrade, if I can, is the future of lawyering or being a lawyer robots?
Oh, because this is such a great question, and I think that's what everybody asks. And I'm constantly using a little robot emoji as well when talking about these sorts of things. Is I think more and more people in the legal context, when they're wanting to access their rights, to access what I believe to be justice tech, the future looks like automation. It looks like robots for lawyers. But the reality is that the lawyers themselves aren't going to be the robots. Richard Susskind has, himself has said that as the profession moves away from trusted advisor to the role of expert professional, that lawyers are going to be needed more than ever in order to train and help these robots distribute the justice across our growing communities. So it's not a yes or no question. It's going to be, what role do you want to play in the future?
Makes sense. And very, very tactful way to answer it, I must say, Chantal. Great job. So that being said, how can lawyers get more automated, and how can they get more luxury? Or how can they get more of both?
More luxury, more lawyering, in the fullest sense. And it is a great question, because often we don't know where to start. And I think that by starting where you're most frustrated is always a great idea. So, you can get more fully automated or more fully luxury by having a look at what you're finding is not luxury. What do you really go, I can do without that? And then also, what things are you finding, I've got to copy and paste this thing again? Then, that's prime for automation as well. So that's the first step. And then it's just building upon those blocks.
Okay, it's like small steps to get to the end goal, obviously. So Rome wasn't built in a day. So I think anyone who's watching can get some great tidbits from that. But obviously, on that concept of long goals, obviously you're doing your doctorate. I'd love to know what is involved in PhD research and becoming a doctor.
Yeah, some of the things that have really surprised me in this approach has been just how like it is a project, and that's bit is obvious, but you really don't get an appreciation until you're like down in the trenches and you have these like really hard deadlines. So there's a process called a proposal, where you have to put together your piece, and then there's the process that a lot of people might recognize it as the defending your thesis or confirmation of the thesis, and then there's the actual submission itself. So there are these like rigid gates that you have to work towards, but it isn't a sprint. It's a marathon, which requires constant having to think about what's philosophy, because like it's a doctorate of philosophy. Like I have spent many hours laying on the floor of my home office thinking, what is and that's all part of it. You've got to factor that into your project. It's not all writing. It's not all research. It is a lot of thinking, and thinking in ways that actually physically hurt your brain.
So you deliberately want to hurt your brain is the thing.
Evidently so.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Why not? Stretch yourself is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like, well, people do marathons. Like, they train on the weekend, and, that requires like thousands of, tiny muscle tears. And then they grow into these really strong, amazing people who can run marathons. It's a little bit similar.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm actually training at the moment for a full marathon. I don't know if I'm getting stronger, but I'm definitely getting weedier. And that's probably the thing.
As your body converts the carbohydrates more effectively. That's fantastic.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'd love to get your thoughts on this. What's the tension between law as a profession and law as a business? You spoke about this more. I want to tease that out a little bit more and give that a little bit of a platform.
Oh, thank you. And I can't give too much away because I haven't submitted the thesis yet.
Okay.
So I can't speak to like what we're going to do about it, because that's what the thesis is. But essentially, when looking at it from a conceptual point of view, you've got law as a profession being a lawyer means that you're engaged in an occupational group, that you're trusted to deliver something that only lawyers can. So there is a bit of a market closure involved in that. And there's obligations that are owed to society. And there is some structure around that, like we call that legal ethics, but client care rules, that kind of stuff. So they're the professional aspects. And then you have the business aspects, which is about the delivery and how lawyers in organizations organize themselves. The growth of the incorporated legal practice in Australia and New Zealand and in other jurisdictions as well, it's becoming a worldwide phenomenon. More and more law firms are choosing to limit their liability against the other partners. And in a lot of jurisdictions as well, non-lawyers can have ownership in the law firm business. And that business structure and how the legal services are delivered, how clients are onboarded, how stress is managed, how capacity is managed, how profits are distributed, are all elements of the law firm as a business. And because we work in that capitalist sense of needing to distribute that labor of professional expertise to society, and yes, I'm talking about a lot about transactional law work, but also about litigation law work, really focusing though on the majority of law firms. So not the global international law firms, because they only represent less than 1% of all lawyers. That the majority of lawyers work in firms that are 500 or fewer other lawyers. So that looks like having to sell your services, usually on a time basis, to clients of your community. And that whole aspect tends to sit in tension between like, well, I did law to help people. I did law because it's the just thing to do. Or, law helps resolve problems. And then how does that sit in tension with each other?
Very good points. And there's a lot of people resonating with them. Let me tell you there, Chantal. We've got Jesse saying, after seeing you whiz around Hunter Street this morning, Cullen, definitely marathon ready. I was running this morning. Mina's got a question. How do you feel about it being used in the court system? I guess AI is Mina talking about there. And do you think it will streamline the process of relieving the burden on the courts? Great question, Mina.
That's fantastic. I saw an article from the UK about a judge there saying it was jolly good because they got ChatGPT to summarize the law of which the judge knew a significant amount. But anybody who has read a judgment knows that there's an awful lot of contextualization. There's a lot of research that they get their associates to do to provide that full context as part of the judgment. And there is absolutely a place for technology there. And AI is, and if we're talking about, GPT large language models, that kind of AI, it absolutely has a place in assisting how our justice system is able to run more effectively.
Assisting is the key word I think you're talking about, not taking over, but like a para aligned there.
Well,
great one, Nina. Yeah.
Yes, a fantastic question. And it also goes towards the fact that it's like, you know, we're talking about human expertise. The human has to be the center of it.
Yeah, that's a good point you're making. And Peter Nathan has got a great point here. Hopefully AI and law will lead to giving a percentage of likely favorable results rather than what seems to be the current all care but no responsibility model. Just charge $500 per hour and hope for the best. Very interesting points there, Peter. I'd love to get your take on it as well, Chantal.
Yeah, so it's actually really interesting take to consider how AI might affect accountability and professionalization within the legal profession. From the literature that I've seen so far around the tension between law as a profession and law as a business in technology, I don't think there is that much research on how it would affect lawyers' perceptions on being accountable to their clients. What tends to happen is the like fee disputes have a lot of influence on lawyers, and a lot of the structures and how lawyers bill have been a consequence of the history of how lawyers engage in a market. And you know, if you're a client of a lawyer and you're not sure what services you're paying for, you should absolutely communicate with your lawyer. They love to talk about what they do, but they might feel a little bit awkward about, you know, charging money for it sometimes. So then it might be a bit of an uncomfortable conversation because they'll feel like they have to justify. But the point is that a lot of the time is spent on reading and analyzing and ensuring that the things that they're doing for you are going to help you in the long run.
That's a good point that you make, I think. I was talking to a lawyer the other day that, you know, there is that paradox of what do you bill for? You know, thinking on the case in the shower, is that billable work? So some good points that you're making, but that, I guess that's what it's all about being an advocate, right? Is, you know, you're doing the best for your client. So there's that trust element that what they're billing you for is for that advocacy. So good points, Peter, and really appreciate you putting that in there. And finally, Edward Zia says, powerfully brilliant. A regular of the show. Thank you, Mr. Zia. Switching gears a little bit as we get towards the end of the stream, Chantal. It's a little bit morbid, this question, but when all is said and done, how would you like to be remembered?
I actually like this question. And it's really important because whether we choose to make a legacy or not, we all have legacy. And I just hope that, and this is going to sound really like, what's the word? As if I'm a cockeyed optimist, like that song.
Be the cockeyed optimist. That's okay. Yes.
But genuinely, I want to leave the world and what I have done in my life in a better place. And I hope that I can achieve that with my work with lawyers, is that I can help future lawyers and current lawyers enjoy lawyering, because I enjoyed lawyering, but there were many aspects that I'm addressing now that I felt really frustrated about. And we need lawyers in our world. I know we love to hate them. There's many great jokes about them. However, our civilization requires lawyers. And so
they do.
And so to help them. So I'm that's what I hope my legacy is that it is to help make it a little bit better.
And you're already doing that, can I say there, Chantal? Thank you so much for sharing your wonderful insights, what you're doing in the industry right now. And where can people find you? Where are you hanging out the most if someone wants to get in touch with you right now?
Yeah, I'm mainly on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is my jam. I do provide weekly videos on various topics, from business to wellness, technology, and the law. So that's where you can reach out to me.
LinkedIn, it's our home. So be sure to reach out to Chantal. We'll bring you back for some bonus questions, but thank you so much for being part of Law Live. It's been fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. It's been so much fun. And thank you, everybody, for your great questions as well. Keep bringing them in.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chino, as well. How can we forget you?
Yes. Thanks, Chino.
Thanks, Chino. We'll bring you back shortly, Chantal. And if you're a legend of law or know someone who is and you'd like to be part of the show, feel free to get in contact. We come out every Wednesday, chatting to a legend of law, and we come out and release it wherever you get your podcasts. Bye for now, everyone. Take care. Bring you back, Chantal. If you could describe what you do in the legal profession to a 6-year-old child, how would you go about doing that?
Oh, I know this one because I have a few nephews and nieces.
Oh, good.
I tell lawyers what to do when they're at their computers.
Oh, great. Simple, nutshell. Tell lawyers what to do when they're at their computers. Perfect. If you are watching now, mic drop, please. Great answer there, Chantal. And second question, getting back to my physics background, is if you could go back in time and speak to yourself at any age, what age would you be and what would the advice you'd give yourself be?
Oh, I know the advice. I just don't know when would be the best time. So I'm going to lead with the advice. And the advice is have the courage to be your true self, even when that is so different to everyone you see around you. And I guess it'd have to be 18 or 19. It was when I started uni, because, everybody had this like vision of what to be a lawyer, and that didn't look like me at all. I was very different. And I think that you need to have the courage to be different, to be yourself, because that is what, helps you be truly happy.
Be yourself, as everyone else is taken, Oscar Wilde once said, and resonate with what you're saying, Chantal. Thank you so much again. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you. And likewise, I'm so glad that you do this. So, absolutely fabulous.
No, really appreciate it. And bye for now, everyone. Have a great Wednesday.